Hey everybody, it is TorontoUnicorn, and I am here with the host of the Strictly Anonymous Confessions podcast, Miss Kathy K. Hello.
Hi, I feel like I haven't been on YouTube in so long. No
Yeah,
one's seen me in so long. People on YouTube don't think that I exist anymore, even though my podcast lives on on every
right.
podcast platform.
We've got some baggage with YouTube, and both of us are in an industry where there's a lot of scrutiny. And so
Yeah.
luckily your podcast does exist in full all over Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and everywhere else. It's just YouTube, you can't watch it. But that's just all the more reason to switch to podcasts, frankly. I've also had to be so censored in the last year or more on my channel that when I go look back on my older videos, I am shocked at how I used to speak and what I used to get away with. Now, I even just to stay on YouTube is you've got to just like beep out all the words, make sure
Oh
there's not too
my,
much
yeah.
coverage, like so it's a tightrope dance, frankly. But anyways, hello YouTube watchers. So you and I have a history. We have actually gone on each other's podcasts over the last 3 or 4 years, right?
Yeah, I think we met on YouTube.
You have a podcast with over 1,000 episodes, at least over 1,200 now. And you interview people all the time who've got a story to share, most of the time anonymously. Sometimes I go on there and I'm like, catch me on YouTube, Journey Unicorn. Um,
Yeah.
so it's not all anonymous, but you have heard stories. And I know even recently, my friends DTF Tanya and Curly Vixen have also recorded an interview with you. So you have the detailed stories, the uncensored stories. You don't censor bad words. You tell it as it is. You let your guests speak their truth. And so this book that you've put together, from what I understand, you've taken like your 17 best stories and like re-narrated them in the third person to basically tell the tales of what you've experienced in humanity. Does that sound about right?
Oh my God, you're so good at this. Are you like a YouTube personality content creator?
Catch me on YouTube, try Unicorn.
You're really good. Yeah, you summed up the whole thing. That's it. You could have wrote the back of my book.
I think I pretty much did because I was fascinated at what you did here.
When I started my show, I really wanted to help people. I do like that. And I do believe, even though my show was about sex, I am helping people. That's the emails I get on a daily basis, not just from the people that call in, but the people that are listening. The other thing I think is cool about this book is like some people don't listen to podcasts, right? So some people are going to stumble upon this book and be like, oh, what kind of secret sex lives do people really have? I still feel like there's so many people out there that will never believe one story in here. And these are all true. And I think that's what's kind of super interesting about it. These are true stories. Like a lot of erotica out there, right? And you could read about
Right.
these hot things, but these are true stories. This is what some people are actually really doing. And I think it will surprise many people that, aren't people that tune into YouTube or, podcasts and know our kind of content.
Right. Yeah, and I know that like even when I was interviewed with you, I was a little baby unicorn, as I like to call it, because I was like fresh into my enthusiastic unicorn life, and I was talking about having threesomes and whatever. And then I liked that like I did an interview with you about a year and a half later, and I was talking, oh, I met this guy, and now my
Yeah.
life's a little bit different. And then we just did these check-ins, and it's real lives, real stories, and real evolutions too. And I think that's what's really cool is sometimes the same guest like on your podcast check in again.
Oh,
So you get to
yeah.
keep up.
And
So
some of these too. And that's what, like, I think that was like one of the hardest things about rewriting these stories and stuff is that, first of all, each chapter is one person's whole life story. And I didn't have 200 pages to write it. They had to be like 25 to 5,000 words, right, to fit so many into this book. I didn't want to only have five chapters in there. So it was, I told sometimes you're getting a whole person's life story within that one and a big evolution. Like Ember is a hot wife is in there, and she's a hot wife that went through a couple episodes with me, and all of those episodes and her whole story and her whole evolution is in that one short chapter. So the chapters are very short. So I think that's kind of fun. You could read any ones you want. You could, it's not like a beginning to end of the book. You have to read it that way. They're short and they're quick, but there's a lot of information in there. And you do see a big evolution of the people.
it's like what if you and your partner laying in bed and you want a quick bedtime story, maybe to just like spark some fucking conversation since you're with some person for a long time. Sometimes you run out of things to talk about. Why don't you read a story together and then reflect,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
And what
that's
I love, and I have to tell people, because listen, people are calling into my show anonymously all the time. Now, people tell me, oh, I listen to your podcast at work, and no one knows, haha. So I get that a lot of people are, tuning into my show on the DL. The good news about my book is you could have this and it could be like right on your coffee table book because you don't give a fuck what people think, or you could get the ebook, or what's coming out is the audiobook that will is available. And there, you could hear someone just narrating in your ears like you listened on the DL to my podcast, and no one will know what the fuck you're doing, right? So I
Right.
think that all those versions are great for this kind of book because, some people maybe don't want their girl or their husband or their family to know that this is what they're reading before bed.
Yeah, it's true. So it's called Strictly Anonymous Confessions, and it's the book version, right? You
Yeah,
have a
Secret Sex
podcast
Lives
version.
of Total Strangers. That's the
Awesome.
tagline.
And it's
Yeah.
available now, and I'm going to put a link in the description, hopefully for your Amazon. But I know that you have other links and possible ways of getting a hold of you through your own website and your own podcast. So I'll put a link to the Strictly Anonymous Confessions podcast as well. The reason you're not on YouTube is because you talked too naughty than you're supposed to. So if you're okay to hear the bad words and to hear sexual details, then come to a podcast. I mean, that's the limitation. I also can't talk in the way I want to on YouTube. Frankly, I feel like I'm wearing a goddamn muzzle when I talk about sex at sex clubs. My real sex club and swinger lifestyle, which is on where this episode will be there in full, is basically a copy of my YouTube channel on Spotify. So thank goodness for Spotify as well, because your podcast is also still available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, just like mine. So I'll
Yeah,
put
there you
all the
go.
links. Awesome.